Hospital porters' pride and dignity stop the New World Order. Welcome to this part 2 of my series of films on the Gatwick airport shutdown. Well, since the last video came out, there's been an awful lot of updates. I'll run through some of those with you. I'll also reply to some of the comments that you left on the previous film. And we'll talk about what could be the cause of this, what's true in what we've been told and what is false. So stay tuned, keep watching, the story continues. Right, well, it appears steps have been made to reopen the airport. The runway has opened following the so-called drone chaos, and the backlog can now slowly clear. There was a plane actually that did fly this morning, but the drone operator is still at large. Yeah, that's it. Which is a bit odd. It's all still a lot of chaos there, because there's 870 flights that have actually been delayed or cancelled as a result of this, and all the 120,000 passengers that have been on those flights are still clustered at the airport. The person I know and the stewardess I told you about in the first film, still stuck in Edinburgh. She doesn't know how she's going to get home. They're trying to book her onto a coach. She lives in London and based at Gatwick, and she's now got to get from Edinburgh. There's some people who are stuck in France and other places where they've been diverted to. So yeah, I feel sorry for these people. I really do. It's an awful thing that this has happened. There's all kinds of little catchphrases that have emerged, like drones, groans, and can't get homes. Yeah, it's people camping out under the Christmas tree in the terminal building with their tents out and that. Yeah, it's well, you know, they seem quite cheerful. After all, they're in a nice warm place. But the big mystery behind all this is people are saying, well, there's apparently an environmental activist who's against airport expansion is behind this, but they don't know who this person is. But so I'll have to see how it goes, I think. But now something is very, very strange, and this is from my contact in the local area who's just been in touch with me, is that there seems to be almost no images at all of the drone. In fact, this is the only one I could find in the media. It's some amateur footage of what might be the drone. This is what they're talking about. Presumably the drone is there and it's been identified. There's, excuse me, there's all kinds of public statements about it. You'd think there'd be some footage of it, since this is like apparently it's quite a large drone. And there's CCTV cameras everywhere at the airport. This person, who is married to someone who works at the airport, told me, and his wife said, you know, there's CCTV everywhere. Everything that happens there is recorded. You know, if a pigeon flies over, it can be captured. Yet the media has not posted anything about this drone. It's not posted a single thing. Now, my friend actually took a drive in the area earlier, and apparently security is quite lax on the perimeter. So they said there was a couple of copplers in a transit van just sitting there reading the papers, looking bored. That was about it. But all the plane spotters have been chased away from the end of the runway. They stand with their anoraks and bobble hats and things. So they've all been chased away. But apparently the parking spaces are open and people can park. So it doesn't seem to be. They're not actively keeping the place under lockdown. They're not completely and utterly sealing the whole place off like they did during that. There was a terrorist alert there a few months ago. Turned out to be a false alarm, but it only lasted for a couple of hours. A threat of a bomb or something, or shootings and stuff. It's interesting how a drone has caused more disruption than a suspected bomb. That to me is quite perverse. Now, things look fairly normal, but although it doesn't. Things don't add up, and as I just mentioned, there was a bomb scare there, which caused all this trouble. But yet, they reopened within a couple of hours. Yet whatever this is, it just looks like a blotch to me. That apparently caused the airport to shut down. What is it now? 36 hours. It doesn't make sense. So now we continue with this phony bone of contention. I think, what penalty could the drone operator face? And here you see someone with a drone. The thing about it is, the only footage I've seen in the media, comes from its library footage of drones. There's no official footage at all of the actual drone involved. As I said, that's a bit strange. And here we have the thing about the drone here. Now, the funny thing is, the drone operator is still at large. He's still out there, you know. Now, drones, of course, are, as I said, unmanned aircraft flown from a remote location, usually somewhere on the ground. And thanks to modern communications and satellite technology, there's no real limit on how far away the person needs to be. We've seen this with military drones like the Predator and Raptor in Afghanistan and Pakistan. They could be flown from the United States. So it could be anywhere. However, the drone is electrically powered. It has a battery, it actually is like a small helicopter. That's the one you can see here. It has these little rotor blades. Now, this battery has to be charged, which means the aircraft has to return somewhere. It doesn't have to be where the operator is, but it has to go somewhere where someone is ready for it to charge the batteries. Now, this begs the question, why, if apparently these things can only fly for 2 hours at a time before needing a charge. So that begs the question, why, when this thing actually turns around and goes back to where it has to charge, why don't the police just follow it? And that will lead them to whoever's charging the batteries. Once they've nicked that person, can they not nick the person who is flying it, who's behind this whole damn thing? That's the issue. It's very, very strange. Still not sure what to make of it. And of course, they're talking about changes in the law. I mean, it's problem, reaction, solution, and stuff like this. I know a lot of people have talked about this before, like David Icke. However, I suspect this is a cover story. I've been talking to my contacts in the area, and yep, this is some kind of cover story. What really happened there, I don't know. As I went through a certain number of possibilities yesterday about whether it was something terrorist related or something to do with the Russians. It could be something UFO related. It could be the presence of something that they don't want people to know about. I'll say that much. That's all we know at the moment. That's all I can say at the moment, but hopefully there'll be more information soon. So, this is another news story. How will the police catch the drone menace? The drone monster of Gatwick Airport. And again, this picture you see here is not the drone we're talking about here. This is a library image. It's probably just picked up off Wikipedia. As you can see, AFP, that's the credit. And there's nothing apart from that blotch I just showed you, which even claims to be the actual drone involved in an airport full of CCTV cameras and 120,000 people's mobile phones. So no footage at all. Very, very odd. Well, there's several different things they can do, and there was a chap actually interviewed on the news this morning. He's a former head of the Metropolitan Police Special Armed Unit, or I think that's what it was called. And he was saying that you can't really shoot them down with a normal weapon, like a normal gun, a sniper's rifle or something, which is what the police normally use, because you'd have to. It'd be difficult to hit, and the stray bullets would. You don't know where they're going to land. They could fly as far as 5,000 yards. They could land somewhere in East London and hurt someone. You know, so stray bullets is the problem. But they've got like this thing. They've got this device like a net, which actually fires kind of like a tangling net, or which can entangle the drone. It's rather like some of the non-lethal weapons that the military are using in war. Yet it's designed to tackle drones, not personnel. That's something they could employ. Also, there's electronic countermeasures. Now, there's a jamming signal they can actually fire at this thing. But the thing about it is, it has a huge effect on the area. And this guy I know lives close to the airport, and he says his internet's down, his mobile phone not working, things like that. It's probably because they're using some sort of electronic countermeasure like that, some kind of very powerful transmission, which is there to jam the drone. Or that's what they say it is. We don't know if that's the case at all. It's all a big. It's like I said, we've got to take their word for it on that. But as I said, there's no independent confirmation that it even is a drone. And as I said, it's strange they haven't tracked down the controller yet. Now, there's a chap along with the policeman. There's another guy who's head of the Air Traffic Controllers Guild, and he was saying that. Talking about how it relates to their job and stuff like that. And Gatwick only has one runway. Apparently, it's the biggest one-runway airport in the world. It is one of the biggest airports in the world, anyway. Excuse me. It's like there's all kinds of talking heads they brought onto the TV to put across this official story. And you see the same thing with Diana and 9/11. You have the expert brought in. It's always worth just picking up those initial reports, because as with the case of Bin Laden, the guy who said, "Oh, Bin Laden, they'll take his body back to America." That guy was just I talked about it on a previous show. I can't repeat myself too much. Now, tackling the controller, that's the next thing I've got to do. And it says here, if the drones were being operated by a typical remote control unit, it will be possible to establish the controller's position. They can triangulate it, but this is only possible if it's been controlled by somebody in the area. So it could be somebody a long way off, someone in a van or something nearby. The thing about it is, again, what about the battery? It has to have an aircraft like that, a drone that big would need someone with a charger, because it needs to be supplied, things like that. You see, a drone was seen so regularly that someone must have been charging its batteries, of course, unless there was more than one drone. But can't they just follow this thing when it goes back to get its batteries charged? It's just one of the things that's very, very weird about this. So I'm still suspicious about what's going on here. They got this guy called Professor Woodward, who's an expert on this sort of thing, and he said it's possible they're using a mobile phone network that the operators to control the drone, so it's an encrypted signal. But if they can find out what masts the signal's coming from, again by triangulating it, then you could just monitor go to the mobile phone company, check the traffic that was going through that particular network, that particular relay, and you'd be able to identify the account the person held. So I still suspect there may be more than something going on. There may be more than that going on there. And the thing is, if they can't catch that, they haven't found the drone yet. They haven't found the drone, but they are reopening the airport. So the operator's still at large, haven't found the drone, yet they're allowing flights to come and go, which is a bit odd. I mean, on the BBC this morning, which I did watch, I don't like it, but I did, they showed like a test of what happens. They had an aircraft wing and they fired a drone at it at airline speeds, and the drone just ripped right through the wing. Literally almost ripped the wing right off the plane. So these planes' wings, they can cut, even though they can smash through the walls of the World Trade Center. Honestly, and a collision with the drone could definitely down an aircraft and kill everyone on board. Yeah, so there's been no resolution to this case, but they are opening the airport again apparently for limited traffic. And this guy I know, he says he's got a friend who's stuck in China because the plane can't fly back. Oh, well, there's worse places to be stuck, I suppose. Right, now this is another media picture here, and you can see the group of policemen. Looks like they're somewhere high up on a roof or balcony of the airport building. And they apparently are this is the police operation that they're talking about at the moment. It says here, Sussex police have been locked in a game of cat and mouse with the drone operator. Officers have so far failed to locate the industrial specification drones or their pilot. And they've been plans, as I said, they talked about the plans to shoot down the device. But then again, they say it hasn't been seen since 10 o'clock last night. Apparently it's been seen, but there's no footage of it. There's no amateur footage of it even, which seems a bit incredible, as I said. But these guys are just sort of standing there. It does look like there's some equipment about them, like something that might look like an antenna of various types. Is that a dish antenna there? And there's this big tall aerial. That could be part of the anti-drone transmissions, I don't know. But again, it might just be part of the cover-up. I just thought that's very interesting that they're still looking. The Assistant Chief Constable of Sussex Police, Steve Barry, say they're in a much better position today. Oh, right, well, are we going to see the Gatwick drone monster brought to justice? If he is, well, that'll put a stop to your crop circle activities, won't it, Matthew? Right, I have been sent some really amazing pictures, and I think these are quite astonishing. They're from the UFO News Network, which is on Facebook. I'm not including all the details here because I'm not sure exactly how private or how public this particular group is. But this was sent to me by somebody. It's an amazing photograph here. Apparently it's a still from a video. And it says, this is being touted around the media as a drone. First, you must understand that if you fly a drone, the estimated distance of this object would make a drone-sized object almost impossible to see. Second, no drone, as far as I know, and I'm a drone CAA pilot, as a Civil Aviation Authority, has been fitted with such high-power lights unless it was an M-series multi-prop worth thousands of pounds, in which case these are used for movies and those who fly them would never go near an airport. This is no local hobbyist. This is not a local hobbyist, so that leaves an unidentified object. A cover-up, in my humble opinion. Absolutely, and I mean, here's the actual photograph itself. Now, we don't know where this photo came from. I can't prove that it's from Gatwick Airport unless you recognise those sort of deck chair-like structures at the bottom. Maybe you can help me out here. But this, what's strange is that I've heard back from my contact in the local area, who has a friend of his who was driving at around 6 o'clock this morning in that area, and he was on his way to work, and he saw basically what you see here, a bright light that appeared and then disappeared. And as soon as he called me, he announced to me that the airport was going to shut again. And I mean, I've to check the news on that. I mean, I've literally just got off the phone from him. Yeah, here we are. Flights suspended at Gatwick again after a suspected drone sighting. So, curiouser and curiouser. The plot is getting thicker, even during the production of this particular film. The story is changing. Things are moving fast. There are several other strange coincidences, if that's the word to use, associated with this particular event, and several people I've been speaking to online have associated the events at Gatwick Airport with this. And one of those, it's the 30th anniversary of the Lockerbie bombing. Now, this is a very, very mysterious incident, I think, which David Shayler has talked about a lot. In 1988, on the 21st of December 1988, an airliner from Pan Am literally exploded in mid-air due to a bomb placed on board the aircraft. And the wreckage fell onto a town in lowland Scotland called Lockerbie. The plane was on its way to New York City from London Heathrow. Everyone on board the plane was killed. A number of people killed on the ground. It was a terrible disaster. It was blamed apparently on a bomb that had been placed in a suitcase, even though you know how tight security is at airports with x-rays and things like that and sniffer dogs, and they were using them back then, 30 years ago. This was then blamed on the Muammar Gaddafi's regime in Libya and several people who were working for the intelligence services, and they were actually convicted in absentia in a court in which they were never actually handed over, but there was a massive political fuss about the whole thing because these two guys who had been convicted in this court had actually not been handed over. But the court was actually held in The Hague in the Netherlands. It was a Scottish court, but they didn't. They tried to subpoena the two guys for the trial. They didn't succeed doing that. So they convicted them in absentia, like I said, and demanded that Gaddafi hand them over. I think that at least one of them is dead now, I think. But again, if you look at David Shayler's material, it's all a bit strange. There's a lot of some strange anomalies associated with this event, which makes me wonder who was really responsible. So this happens to have happened on the 30th anniversary of that, and it's drawing people's attention. Firstly, it's an aviation-related story, and it's drawing people's attention towards Gatwick Airport rather than the remembrance services that are going on in Lockerbie right now. And of course, Brexit, it's always there. You can't get away from it. Is this something to do with that? I don't know. I mean, it seems... I've had a look at the other pages in the news to do with Brexit, and to be honest, it doesn't seem all that different. I mean, there's always updates, there's always developments every day, but there's just nothing... There's nothing I would say is definitive or explosive that the government would want to bury, any more than any other day, because of course they want to bury it the whole time, don't they? So that doesn't quite make sense in my view. But I'm open to the possibility if there's evidence, if more evidence comes to light. Right, it's 7 p.m. and it's been announced that the airport has reopened after the latest drone suspension. Yes. A further drone sighting has again disrupted. Yeah, we know that. Aircraft were left. Yeah. But a spokesman for the airport said the suspension was a precaution, and the Gatwick had reopened less than 90 minutes after the drone had been initially spotted, so to speak. Excuse me. Less than 90 minutes later, it's just an hour and a half's delay caused by this particular drone. However, when my contact in the area was actually driving past there, the contact was driving on the north side, on the north perimeter fence. If you go to Google Maps, you'll see that. I'll show you some more of that actually in a future video in this series. But there's like a perimeter road that goes all the way around the airport, and the north side. On the north side, there's like it goes along past a berm, so there's a big grassy berm, so you can't see much into the airport. However, there's a big field actually just north of the airport, next to a psychiatric hospital, the Farmfield Hospital, and according to my contact, there are a large number of people wearing luminous vests in that field. So either the French protesters have got over there, which is unlikely considering they can't travel through the air, or these are obviously security personnel, police, military, security from the airport, etc. And indeed, my friend mentioned there were several people in police uniform he spotted in that area, and he said there was a very large number of personnel in that particular field. So it looks like the airport is open, but there's still a massive amount of police activity. This has increased enormously, because remember, this is a chap who drove the perimeter road early this morning, and he said there were 2 coppers in a transit van reading their papers. So it's 7 p.m. Things are really advancing now. But I asked him, you looked up in the sky, could you see anything? And he said no. But it's dark. I mean, he said there's no. I thought there's street lights there, which obviously shield your eyes, but there's no street lights out there. But there's a low cloud base, you can't see much. Excuse me. And anyway, drones. A drone was a very, very small aircraft indeed, and it would be invisible probably from the ground, unless you had you could see it using binoculars or something. But again, the police, they seem to know when these drones are around, don't they? But no one else seems to be able to see them. It's odd, isn't it? We do have the only reports we have of strange lights appearing and disappearing above the airport. So that doesn't sound like drones to me. Sounds like something else. Right, now I'm actually going to read some of your comments from the first video in this series. This is not a replacement for the comments reply videos, in that series that I'm doing, because I will address these comments again in the comments reply videos. Okay, just to let you know that I'm not going to read your comments now and then not read them in the comments reply videos. But there's been some good comments on this first video, and people have been very, very informative actually. James Cousins says, interesting that it's been shut down for so long. Something is up. If they don't have contingency plans for this kind of thing, I wonder what they're up to other than disruption and putting people in distress trying to get home to spend Christmas with their family. Well, it's odd. There's like and David underneath says there was a Cobra meeting, which is very strange. And what's the army? What's suspicious? Why the army for one drone? Yeah, it's actually maybe more than one drone, but the point is still valid. I mean, you know, what do you need for a supposed eco-campaigner, whatever they call this person? I mean, there's all kinds of things. Some people are blaming anti-fracking campaigners, because there is a fracking camp near there. Now, I know anti-fracking campaigners, Ian R. Crane, for example, who's a good friend of mine. These guys live in caravans. They don't have drones. I mean, they don't. I mean, it's ridiculous. And also, there's a lot of protests relating to airports at the moment in this country, but not at Gatwick. They're at Heathrow Airport. They're at Heathrow Airport, where they're trying to build an extra runway. And they're going to have to knock down a couple of villages. There's a massive protest about that. So why are the drones not flying over Heathrow? Now, according to my contact, they are actually creating a second runway at Gatwick, and they've been doing it since World War II, and apparently it's been buried, and if they uncover it, then there'll be a second runway at Gatwick. But no one, that's not been officially acknowledged that they're going to do that yet. So if it's anti-airport expansion protesters, why are they at Gatwick and not Heathrow? It's completely out of the way where they should be if they want to try and make their point. Neptune Returns says, on Irish radio they're blaming the Russians. Oh my god, it's the Irish blaming the Russians now. And Real Life Capture said on English radio they're blaming the Irish. Oh, cool. I mean, I won't read all these particularly. I won't read all these comments out because some of them I will read out on the upcoming comments reply video. Okay, so if I miss you out on this, don't worry. I will answer your comment on the comments reply video. This is an interim comments readout. Pain and death to the New World Order. It's obviously Russia. My light bulb blew today. It was the damn Russians. The mail was posted. The postman was Russian. It rained. Russian. Yeah. Jeff Smith has raised a good point, the same one I raised. He's been through all the BBC coverage and not a single picture of these supposed 2 drones on the BBC coverage. Yeah. And apparently on the Daily Express has a video, could be UFOs. Drones invented to debunk UFOs. And well, that actually is quite amazing from the mainstream media that's come out with that. Is it treason? Says the Chicago O'Hare incident. Well done, yeah. That is an incident which I think may be similar to this one, where a UFO hovered above a large international airport. Yep, definitely. Yeah. Very strange, but never mind. Jeremy Corbyn allegedly called Theresa May a stupid woman. Haha. Yeah, well, I plead fair comment because she is a stupid woman. There's lots of other talks about drones and their collisions and things like that. There's news that David says it's a large group of people doing it. Why would they be doing such things? What's motivating them? Exactly. Eco campaigners, says Adrian Cooper. Nothing more, nothing less. Well, it can't be. You see, it can't be, as I've explained why. They're in the wrong place. They should be at Heathrow. And also, again, this doesn't explain why they haven't been caught. If it's a large group of people, obviously, as I said, someone's charging these things batteries. So why on earth? You know. Grim Regular says, is this connected to the solstice, Saturnalia, Christmas? Could be. Yeah. Teresa Walker says, surely to God they can shoot them down. Well, yeah, they could. I mean, there was a sniper. There was a police sniper, or an ex-police sniper, a special firearms unit officer, on TV this morning, as I explained earlier, saying they can't just use normal weapons against it. They can't just shoot it with a gun because of stray bullets. But they do actually have several weapons that they can use against drones, such as there's this thing called a drone wall, which actually fires a huge net, which entraps the drone and brings it down. There's also, they have an electromagnetic weapon that fires a beam of intense directed energy at something, which basically destroys everything electronic in it. So there's several things they could do, and there's apparently, according to this guy on the TV, they got a special kind of shotgun they can use against drones, which don't harm other people. Peter Marshall, if it was sinister UFO activity, would the MOD and government admit it to the general public? Is the Pope Jewish, Peter? Yeah. Truth for All 2014. I bet they're running a fake terrorist drill and filming it. Soon you'll hear about a terrorist attack at Gatwick. Well, you know, yeah, it could be something like that. But you know, there actually was a terrorist alert at Gatwick Airport a couple of months ago, and it was far less disruptive than these kids with toy aircraft. Yeah, 69 Phuket. I got held up by airport coaches on Mancunian Way. Yeah, there's a massive attempt to redistribute the passengers. 120,000. It's the size of a large town. They've got to get them to other airports, get them onto other flights. Yeah, it's. I remember they lost a plane despite hundreds of passengers being on it, and they had mobile phones. Yeah, well, Gordon, this is that's that event in when the Yorkshire UFO appeared. Yeah, official announcement, says David. Gatwick Airport opened on Friday. Well, it hasn't yet. It opened for an hour and a half. Now it's closed. Well, it opened. Yeah, it opened. Closed for. It did open again briefly. So I've got things the wrong way around here. It did open again briefly, but it closed again after an hour and a half. Yeah. John Barry says there were disruptions at Eindhoven Airport this past weekend. That's in the Netherlands. I live near Eindhoven, and I don't remember it being misty those days. Things stood still for a couple of days there. Well, that's interesting, John. Yeah. The Poison Goth. Hello, Poison Goth. She's a good friend of mine. I know her in real life. I feel sorry for the passengers. Yep, me too. I mean, they're the ones caught up in the middle of it. It's like, oh dear. Steve mumbling, hey Steve. I have to wonder why they don't hover around. Oh, I'm not going to do his voice. All right. I have to wonder why they don't hover around it in a military helicopter and jam its uplink with their electronic countermeasure system. If the drone loses its uplink control signal, it will automatically return home, won't it? Then all they have to do is follow it. Yes. Perhaps they could find its downlink and watch it return home through their own camera. Apparently these 2 commercial-grade drones are involved, so we're talking about a reasonable investment here. It's not going to be a spotty teenager having a laugh. Well, precisely, Steve. I mean, they have the methods to do this. So you made a good point there. You know, it's good to be in agreement with you for a change. Julian Carver says, my guess is it's a plan. It's the start of a plan to ban drones from public areas. Yep, that could be. Yeah. Drones are clearly going to be a tool and weapon of the New World Order only. Well, yeah. That's interesting you say that, because if you watch my BBC video, that's essentially what happened when Marconi invented the radio. Adrian Cooper, you're slacking, mate. It took you all of 13 minutes to mention flying saucers. Well, you know, Adrian, I'm just dealing with possibilities here. Hey, crafty nihilists, how you doing, you two guys? Round 1 on banning drones, yes. Legend real. Thanks for the real-time Ask update. Yeah, Cobra, national security, people need to think outside the box. Exactly. Angel Vibes 222, they've been on about plans being grounded in the event of a no Brexit for the past week. Seemed pretty convenient that is showing the public a snippet of mayhem that would be caused by no deal. Well, you know, Angel, I just brought up the possibility, which I thought was unlikely, that this is designed to distract people from Brexit. However, this could be used as a kind of like, oh, this is a taste of thing to come kind of story. You know, I wouldn't put it past the Ramonas to do that. Israel Diego Rivera, is that the same Diego Rivera? The story seems to be fabricated. Yes. Mobile phones, etc. Yes, and they want to clamp down on the public having drones. This is not aliens or the English Bigfoot. No, excuse me. I'm getting tired now, so I didn't sleep very well last night. No, it's not the English Bigfoot. No worries. Yep, Tom's video said they have lasers that could cause a battery to overheat. That's absolutely true. I was talking to this guy I know, and he said one of the tools that they were using in the news, the things that I identified as antennas, there's this thing that looks like a big pair of binoculars. It's actually a laser, which is actually used for targeting. And so they do actually have this directed energy weapon can actually do that, to overheat the entire system so that the whole motor just shuts down. Did anyone notice the alien behind Ben Woody Black? Yes, that alien behind Ben is called Russell. It's a grey. Strange how they show no pictures of drones, says Michael Cameron. Yes, exactly. Carlos E. Pimentel says, I had my flight cancelled, now booked for tomorrow. I hope this doesn't drag on, otherwise I'll be spending Christmas with my family. Oh, Carlos, you know, you might be spending Christmas in the refectory at the departure lounge. I'm really sorry, mate. I really am. Good luck with you. I hope you get home. My heart goes out to you guys. It's really, really false. It's really, if you know whether this is real or false, whatever the cause, you guys are just really. It's a real shame. It really is. Andy G3 says, I'm sorry, Ben, but why does everything have to be a cover-up for something? Some twat flew a drone next to Gatwick. Drones can cause a lot of damage to a plane. Maybe bring it down. What will happen if the debris falls on the public below? Can't we just accept something for once? Well, look, Andy, I've just spent time explaining why I don't think that's the case. I've not said, oh, why can't you just accept something once? Why does everything have to be a cover-up? Everything doesn't have to be a cover-up. I say things are cover-up if there's reason for thinking that they are. I look at news stories, 3 or 4 news stories every day, which I don't explain as cover-ups for something else. The reason you don't hear about them is because I don't talk about them for that reason. I'm not just using the cover-up as default position. I'm using the cover-up as an active case, an active argument here. That's why I'm doing it. And as 69 Phuket says, yes, exactly. Yeah. I will answer more of your questions in the upcoming comments reply video. I just thought I'd deal with these now, and thank you very much for all of them. And there's going to be more videos in this series. So where do we go from here? Well, this is a developing situation. It's ongoing. This is not something that happened in the past, which I'm analysing as a past event. Which, to be fair, most of my videos are like. This is something that's happening in the present. The story is constantly changing, it's constantly developing. The airport's open, then it's shut, then it's open again. But they're trying to move people out. There's all kinds of other sorts of anomalies going on with what's being told by the news. We don't know exactly where this is leading yet, and of course this is why this is a series of films, not just one film. This is part 2 in the series, and there's going to be more. Hopefully in the future we will know more. I think there's one thing for certain. In the course of the development of my investigation into this particular phenomenon, at some point I'm going to have to visit the location itself. And that is what I'm going to do next. Thank you for watching Hapanwo TV. Hospital Porters, Pride and Dignity. Stop the New World Order.